Randy Thomas from Voiceover Mastery. With me is my dear longtime friend, Joe Maeder. We were disc jockeys together. We've done voiceover together, and Joe Maeder is an acclaimed author in her own right. And VO Mastery is very excited to announce that we are going to help cast at least 2, and tonight we'll announce 3 audiobooks from Joe Maeder. Welcome.
Thank you, Randy. It is a thrill to be here and to be part of VO Mastery.
So let's give everyone an idea where we are. I am in Fort Myers, Florida, home of the Voiceover Mastery event, and you are somewhere in the Southeast, Joe?
I'm in North Carolina these days. I was in New York City for about 20 years. I moved to Greensboro to take care of my mother, kicking and screaming the whole way. We had never gotten along. She was a hoarder. She collected dolls. I ended up falling madly in love with her and the South, and that was 12 years ago. So North Carolina's home now, but I do get back to New York a lot. Miss it very much.
Wow. Well, you have definitely carved out a unique life. You went from being a big-time New York City DJ. We were DJs in Miami together. You were the madam on Y100.
And you were on Waxy, opposite me. It was a big deal at the time.
I think so, but we were always friends. I think we weren't competing in the same format. One was top 40, the other was leaning toward oldies. I never felt like we competed, but then again, we both started our voiceover careers. You started doing commercials before I did, and I think I was a little jealous of your success in voiceover, to tell you the truth.
Well, you went on to much more success as a voiceover artist than I ever did, so I have nothing but respect for you. Very proud.
So let's tell some folks that might not know Joe Maeder, the DJ and voiceover artist, but would like to know more about Joe Maeder, the author. What inspired your first book, and where are you now, if you can synopsize?
It was in the 90s when I started writing, and I was writing novels, and I had an agent, various agents, and they'd almost sell the book. And I just kept writing a new one. And finally, when I moved down to North Carolina, when my mother passed away, my agent said, "Why don't you write about your experience with your mother, write a memoir?" I didn't think anybody would really be interested in it, but I was quite wrong. It seems to have universal appeal. When I married my mother, I was endorsed by Maya Angelou, has gotten all kinds of great reviews. It's wonderful to help people. That's the best part of all, that it's helped people with what I call the long goodbye, the decline of an elderly loved one. And even though every situation is different, they're all very similar. I'm actually reading the audiobook myself at the moment. So I have a whole new respect for people who narrate books, especially fiction, because that requires a lot of acting. A good novel, well-read, is breathtaking to listen to. I am so excited. We're going to be casting my novel, Opposites Attack. I really can't wait to hear what people do with the characters.
Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, Opposites Attack is set in the south of France. I guess I needed an excuse to go to the south of France. But also I was thinking about a lot of different things at the time. I was thinking about, people when they're single, they say, I want this, and I don't want that, and then they end up with exactly what they said they didn't want. And also the creative geniuses I've known in my life who can be very charming and quite exasperating. I just wanted to explore that character a little bit. I went over to a total immersion school in the south of France. I went for 2 weeks, which isn't very long. So I arrived speaking like a 1-year-old and left speaking like I was 2, but it was an amazing experience. I highly recommend it as a great way to travel, especially if you're single. I sat there and watched as these people from all over the world would come into the locals' lives for a week or several weeks, even several months at a time. I thought, this is like a cruise ship for smart people. All kinds of mischief can happen, and that's exactly what happens in Opposites Attack.
Fantastic. So we're looking forward to casting the female lead role in Opposites Attack. What would you say some of her characteristics are?
Alice is a challenge for an actress, I think, because She is very naive and unsophisticated in the beginning. She's like a peach that's been picked too soon. And she has to ripen slowly over the course of the book. And Jean-Luc is also not very likable in the beginning. But the two of them, there's an alchemy that happens when they're together, that they both change in wonderful ways. So someone has to make them both likable and then lovable.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, I love the book, so to be a part of helping cast the voice will be a great joy. And we've tapped on Carol Monda, outstanding audiobook narrator, a director, a coach. She's narrated over 150 books. I think we stumbled on the right person to help tackle this task, Joe.
I think so, too. I've certainly learned a lot about the whole process from Carol. She's great.
So Zircum is the second book, so we have something for the guys.
Zircum is interesting. My father, who died in 1985, was an aviation guy. He worked for the FAA for a long, long, long time. He was head of the safety and reliability program when he retired. He had been a mechanic way back when, had worked on Amelia Earhart's airplane, and he had expressed to me on a couple of occasions that he regretted he didn't become a writer, specifically a journalist. Interesting that that's what I ended up doing. I think something got channeled through me, through my father and my mother, too. She, I discovered, was a great writer as well when she wrote letters that I unearthed in her things. His widow, he died in 85, and his widow died in 2011. I was asked if I would like my father's things. What things? So I went down to Miami, and there were 2 filing cabinets filled with all these papers, and I brought them back, eventually went through them, and I discovered he had written a column for an aviation magazine in the late 1940s, early 50s, under the name The Inspector. It was a voice I had never heard from my father before. It was a cross between John Wayne and Jon Stewart, with a little Mark Twain thrown in. I think just like when I married my mother, it has universal appeal. You don't have to have an aging parent to relate to that memoir, and you don't have to be into aviation history to enjoy Zircum. It's very Dilbert-y. It's kind of trying to get the mechanics to work with the FAA and all of the new rules and regulations that they had to enforce because the business was booming so much at that time. And when I read it, I was just floored. I said, this is my father? My father wrote this? So I'm very happy to bring it out. It balances out when I married my mother.
I just think the way you look at life, Joe Maeder, you have that, that's got a little wink to it.
A little wink. I like that.
You think funny, you are funny. And so every subject that you tackle, especially even in When I Married My Mother, your mother was a hoarder and she had these dolls that, for anyone else could have been haunting. And you made us love your mom and just saw her as just the most dear person ever. And to also have the contrast of this character that and be able to cast it and give this project a voice, Joe, seems so magical.
Thank you. Thank you. I did fall in love with my father all over again through Zircum. I also realized when I did the math that he must have been courting my mother when he was writing The Inspector, and she was probably quite impressed. So if The Inspector had never happened, I may never have happened.
This is Randy Thomas, Voiceover Mastery, the voiceover event that is happening over the course of November 20th to the 22nd, bringing in the top pros in all areas of voiceover. In particular, we are drilling down into the world of audiobook narration, and our conversation right now is with Joe Maeder, the author of When I Married My Mother, Opposites Attack, and her dad, his piece called Zircum. Now, this is where it gets really exciting, Joe, because the Voiceover Mastery event, because I make it an inclusive, exclusive experience, we're locking it out at 100 people. And so I feel that the fact that you asked me if we can now cast your latest novel that is yet to be released, that is so exciting, the fact that you're asking me if we can cast it, I believe we have to put a really big net out there. And for anyone that lives in the voiceover world that would like to participate in these auditions, but you're not able to come to Florida, you can now participate by purchasing the live stream Saturday night, November 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be going live all over the planet with all of our pros that will be giving their top 5 tips on how to be great in the area of promo, character development, commercials, marketing, branding, Carol Manda, and audiobooks, to say the least. And the evening will culminate with a tribute to the greatest living narrator, Peter Thomas. Now, in our conversation right at this moment with author Jo Maeder, her latest book is called Naked DJ, but the fact that we were both DJs on the radio, I am sure she had to change all the names to protect the guilty. Tell us about this and tell me what your expectations are for what kind of a female voice you need to cast for Naked DJ, a new novel by Jo Maeder.
Naked DJ is the story of radio as it was, is, and will be, but it's also a great contemporary woman's story. How far do you go for your job and for love? She's crisscrossed the country, changing her name and hair color along the way, DJing at this station, that station. She's finally in New York City at a heritage rock station that's about to go under. They've asked her to pretend she's on the air naked in order to get ratings, and they've teamed her up with another woman who does not want to share the microphone. Meanwhile, she's dating a British music executive who happens to be promoting her former boyfriend's new album. He's a very sexy rapper. Her first love when she was 17, and he had an international hit, and it all crashed and burned. In a couple of years, we got all messed up on drugs, the usual. So now he's back in her life, and she has feelings she shouldn't have. So a lot's going on in her personal and professional life.
In Naked DJ, the character's name is?
Her name is Jasmine Brown, Jazmyn, which is not her real name. So she's also searching for her true identity in all of this. She's changed herself so much. Who is she really? And who is she going to become?
Fantastic. And so we have Zircum, and we have Opposites Attack, and now Naked DJ. This is an open casting call to anyone that would like to participate in the voiceover mastery event, either by coming to Fort Myers, Florida, or virtually grabbing yourself a seat. So go to vomastery.com and all of the information will be there. And I thank you for coming on the call with me tonight. This has been fantastic.
Thank you, Randy. I'm really excited about all of this. I can't wait to hear the outcome.
Thank you, Jo Maeder. We love you, and Carol Manda is going to help us take this chore on, and we will make sure we find you 3 audiobook narrators.